Good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to see you come out for poetry, and for these poets in particular tonight. I don't know if, James, if you wanted to say a few words about Martha Ronk, just that she won't be able to join us tonight, and we're very sad to miss her.
Yeah, to echo that sentiment, Martha Ronk was originally planned to read here tonight, and due to unforeseen circumstances, she is no longer reading. So we wish her the best, and we look forward to when she reads again at the Grolier in the future.
Yes.
So stay tuned for when that will take place.
Very, very much
Catherine,
so.
would you mind taking one step back for the people on Zoom?
I would not.
Thank you.
Hello, people on
Perfect.
Zoom. So my name is Catherine Rockwood. I am a local poet and sometime editor and book reviewer. And so I have the pleasure of giving the introductions tonight. So the first poet to read is going to be Rachel Trousdale. Rachel is a professor of English at Framingham State University and the author of 5-paragraph essay on the body-mind problem, published by Wesleyan University Press in 2025, which won the 2025 Cardinal Poetry Prize. Her poems have appeared in The Nation, the Yale Review, Diagram, and other journals, as well as a chapbook, Antiphonal Fugue for Marx Brothers Elephant and Slide Trombone, from Finishing Line Press in 2015. Her extensive scholarly work includes Humor, Empathy, and Community in 20th Century American Poetry, which came out from Oxford University Press in 2021, and Nabokov, Rushdie, and the Transnational Imagination, published by Palgrave Macmillan in 2010. This is the point at which I have to say, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just a couple of thoughts on the collection and possibly some new poems that you are about to hear from. I've had the pleasure of being Rachel's friend for a long time now. And this means I have a little bit of an inside track when it comes to understanding some of the sources of her amazing 5-paragraph essay on the body-mind problem, which again, I'm just going to sort of wave at you for a moment. So early in our friendship, I suddenly realized, based on things Rachel was saying as if they were no big deal, that she had taken calculus in high school. I'm not sure if it was sort of for fun, or partly out of duty, or a blend of the two, but there it was, the wild fact of it. She had taken calculus. To me, this was shocking in itself. Then at some point, I went for dinner at her parents' house, where Rachel and her mother casually indulged in bilingual wordplay, probably in verse, while Rachel's dad explains the Coriolis force to me using candlesticks as props. So I don't remember anything about the Coriolis force, but that is not on him. When you learn that the author of the 5-paragraph essay on the body-mind problem is the daughter of a literary scholar and a physicist, you see how she could have learned to write poetry this way. Why she would want to, with respect and care and precision that embraces art and science. These are poems that, even when located firmly in the domain of the love lyric, and oh friends, there are love lyrics in this collection, or the praise of family life, refuse to play fast and loose with units of measurement and types of investigation that might seem to dwarf such considerations. Rachel will not lie about, quote, the distance between us and even Proxima Centauri, unquote. That material is far too interesting to lie about. The horizon is too fascinatingly vast. And after all, why shouldn't we look at it, so long as we can look as well, as lovingly, as her poems can?
Oh gosh, Catherine, It's always really hard to read after a good introduction because then you have to live up to it. I think my parents may actually be on the Zoom, so hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. You made an impression. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. I see some old friends and I see some new people, and I'm really happy to see all of you. Am I audible? Loud enough? Okay. I love this space. It's great for reading in. Okay, so as Catherine mentioned, there are quite a few love poems in this collection. And I thought I'd start by reading a few of them, in part because in recent months I've been spending a lot of time on things that aren't love poetry. I've got a day job. Like I think a lot of us have been doing more political activism lately than usual. And I kind of wanted to go back to the love poems because that's the fuel for both of those things. So I'm going to start with a slightly silly one called Love Poem with Dereliction of Duty. It's true. I like you more than I like the Marquis de Sade. God, that mid-April afternoon in 1995, when I said, let's take a walk, and you said, sure, and we circled the New Haven Green saying who the hell knows what, because if we'd seen all this falling in love stuff coming, we would have paid more attention. I just know it took 2 hours past the churches and the porn shop and over to the cemetery with all those skull-topped slabs leaning memorially against the brownstone wall. Round and round we went like marbles, dodging the traps in a game of labyrinth, and finally back to campus through that big stone gate, which we entered just as the prof of the philosophy class I was skipping came out and said, oh, the pain, I can't take it anymore, and doubled up laughing. One of the great pleasures of publishing this book has been finding out what poems surprise me by landing. And so I'm going to read you my brother-in-law's favorite of my poems, which I think he likes best because of its title. Because I'm imagining that hearing some lady writing a lot of love poems to your big brother has a kind of snickery embarrassment to it, even if you're all grown-ups. But I think he liked this one because it's called, I Swear This Is Not Intended as a Backhanded Compliment. Being with you is as good as being alone. Think what that means, the impossible luxury of silence, my own warmth, the ease of nakedness, nothing to adapt to, no demand of response, nothing but the law of gravity to contradict me. God, sometimes I miss it, the way the world imposed nothing on me when I was alone in my first apartment with its terrible brown ceiling and ridiculous white floors. And being with you is as good. All right, one more poem, which Catherine was kind enough to give a shout out to. One more love poem. That's sort of a later one on in the sequence, as you'll see from the fact that there's some children hanging out in the background. It's called Units of Measure. Everyone is wrong about eternity. It ebbs and flows. Think about the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Then scale that to Jupiter, to Pluto. Well, that is as the distance between the belly of a snake and the crumbling brown dirt it slides upon in the face of us and in face of the distance between us and even Proxima Centauri. Think about the time that has passed since we first walked upright, since scale first lapped scale, those heavy-skulled reptiles, the earliest fish. Even the air was of another substance then. All our many seas were then one sea. Even that was only the time it takes to pause at a stop sign on an abandoned midnight road on a long drive, south all night past the pine woods, past the farms, another hour, another 4 hours before you can stop to sleep. Next to the time since our hot liquid earth first started cooling. How long have I loved you? How long have we loved these children? How long will anyone know these words? As long as men can breathe or eyes can see, we can keep trying, keep pushing, keep making our many mistakes. If I keep driving one more hour, as the January night extends toward that distant little January dawn, I think you can get us home. All right, I mentioned political activism. I've been going to a lot of protests lately. I hope some of you have too. If not, there's other ways too if that's not your thing. I want to read a protest poem I wrote quite some time ago. I always feel a little dicey about this one because it's a Black Lives Matter protest poem, and I would like to acknowledge that I am very visibly a white lady. Please don't take anything I say about Black Lives Matter as the last thing you hear or think about Black Lives Matter. I'm writing about my experience there because that's the experience I've got, but it obviously shouldn't be the last word. Bubble is the baby's first clear word. He is learning to generalize. Lamp globes, flowers, ferns, sea foam, anything fragile and desirable and bright. With his word, he points out the moon as we walk to the vigil. Bubble. We are on our way to mourn more Black men murdered. One's name meant friend of man. It is past bedtime, but the baby trots as though he could walk forever, stay awake until justice is brought in after dinner, like a cake. There is singing. We have lit candles. Someone invisible speaks about hope. Bubble. The baby reaches for the flame. I just write them down. Kids provide the material. Every time I do one of these things, I have to promise my daughter I'm going to read one of the poems about her to get parole to leave the house. Actually, today I have two of them that are two of my Elle poems that I want to read. In part because they're messing with images in ways that I feel like any crowd that turns out to hear Heather's poetry is up for some experimental image juxtaposition. So I'm going to try these out. How to face your own mortality and that of your loved ones. I hit the panda button and pandas are exploding out of the earth, abseiling from trees like spiders over last night's dinner beneath that ancient pine tree on my grandparents' terrace. Someday, will I be as tall as my father? What keeps eating my parents? Look, a motley panda in the swimming pool, spouting like a whale, a panda's parachute slackening, opening again like an enormous, beating, black, white heart. All right, so next of the My Daughter poems, this one, it's maybe harder to see there's a kid in there, but she sure is. And it's a pantoum, and the opening, and therefore, of course, also the closing line, is lifted ruthlessly from a cartoon that she was obsessively watching during the first couple weeks of the pandemic shutdown. So I spent a lot of time with this cartoon. It's called Morphle, about a little magic critter that can turn into anything, a little like the Schmooze if you're of an older generation. Parental authority is a myth, like any other myth. Speaking of which, where are robot sharks? 2, 4, 6, 8, whom do we repudiate? Animals. Why do you keep doing bad things? You've been growling furiously all afternoon. 2, 4, 6, 8, whom do we repudiate? Asking the question doesn't change the answer. You've been growling furiously all afternoon. Where and just how fast are you going? Asking the question doesn't change the answer, unless you're addressing a photon. Where and just how fast are you going to build your new city? Utopia, unless you're addressing a photon. Animals. Why do you keep doing bad things to build your new city? Utopia. Speaking of which, where are robot sharks? All right. I was talking about political activism. I want to read a poem or 2/3 of a poem that I think of as sort of a manifesto poem. I don't know if it will sound like a manifesto poem, but maybe if I label that, someone will extract something from it. It's a 3-poem sequence. I'm only going to read 2 of the parts, called Night Shift Summer 1994, which is set in a McDonald's. And these sins of our youth return to us. And it's set among the employees at the McDonald's backstage during the night shift. And part one is Renee explains things to the new girl. Love is not everything. My girls need cough drops, rainbow unicorn trapper keepers to smear with blue erasable pens. For this, the 50 cents extra of the night shift hours. For this, despite the rules, I take home the still hot apple pies destined by law for the huge white sack. Love is not edible. Love is not the thing Kent thinks it is. Love does not hang against anyone's thigh, bounce askew like this month's ridge-flawed Happy Meal Super Ball, is not what I carried for 18 months in my sweat-soaked uniform pants, their open waist held in place with a tightening band. Love is not why I am here. If love were what made me a mother, Kent, who will show you what he thinks he is not, would be mother to music. Sarah, who steals from the drawers, would be mother to her own independence. Love is nothing, is the nothing unbought by 38 hours of the smell of hot grease on the heat lamps. Things are the problem, not love. So she mentions Kent in there. He's the night manager, and we're going to get a reference. We're going to get him maybe explaining what she's talking about, sort of. Part two is Kent, the night manager, invites Renee into the walk-in freezer. Please, nothing can satisfy. Not the bricks of pressed beef with their ridges of pre-drawn char, not the salt shaken in trained arcs, mimicking the glowing M above us onto sunny potatoes, not the keen of Kiss FM radio crying over plastic red and gold seats in the front. Nothing can give to me a seat in the dark booth at the station, spinning the black sweet discs instead of these blackened slabs. I am sure you detect in me an absence, that for you presence is a sign of my failure. Surely you know that I dream of music made body only by the motion of air against membrane, tender desire made resilient, familiar flesh. You must feel what is absent as keenly as I do. I can't stand to explain it. Come in. I have something to show you. All right, so I'll leave the rest of that as an exercise to the reader. All right, I guess I want to do, I think I have time for this, 2 more from the book, and then I have 2 new ones that I'd love to share. And the first of the new ones, as Catherine said, in my parallel life as a scholar, I have a book I wrote on humor and poetry. And one of my baseline theories is that in many cases, poems and jokes share certain structural fundamental ideas of yeah, I'm seeing lots of people nod. You get it, okay. You don't have to read my book, that's great. It's like 300 pages of scholarly prose you don't have to deal with. So after spending a lot of time thinking about how joke structures and the setup and the punchline then talks to poetry structure, I thought I'd better write a joke poem. So this one is Old Joke. And you have to pardon the accent. The accent is indispensable. An old man goes to this doctor and says, "Doctor, how long have I got?" This joke is to be told in a descending intonation, with the echoes of the man behind the fish counter calling number 92, and the whir of the coffee grinders, and the tinny smell of refrigeration, holding in check the thousands of dollars in imported cheese. This joke contains gold-wrapped 3-pound bars of chocolate and apricot jam and rye bread, which can be sliced or left whole, and sold by half loaves if there's no one else at home. When it's done being told, this joke will be getting on the crosstown bus and riding with big plastic bags lined with paper through the park on 79th Street to the east side, where the old women wear white sneakers beneath their long mink coats. This joke will walk 4 blocks north from the bus stop through the sliding glass doors, nodding to the doorman, up to the apartment it's lived in for 27 years, alone for the last 8, where it will wrap cheese and halva and chocolate and a flat of smoked salmon in yesterday's Times to overnight to a girl in college reading too seriously and not cleaning her room and by the look of her starving. And the doctor says, well, I'm not saying you're going to die, but don't buy any green bananas. So one more from the collection, I think, and about a year and a half ago, I was at a poetry reading where one of my colleagues got up and very seriously announced that poems are lists of things that you want to bring with you when you die. And I thought, oh, I have one of those. Only one, but one. So, of course, I had to read it at that event, and I've been reading it ever since. It is a packing list. It's called a packing list. And I want to point out that it is in very mildly and gently experimental form, because I've got my little checklist here with M dashes, where you're supposed to, once you've packed these items, check them off with a little check, because how else do you know you've had your day? And so I don't know how to pronounce an M dash. So instead, I'm just going to pause very, very seriously after each list item. Packing list. 21st birthday. Aching cold, brilliant January. Insides of my wrists scraped clean by your unshaven cheeks. That poor boy giving me Dostoevsky. 30 people in a tiny, gritty room. Deck of the ferry. Sunrise. August chill, islands whose trees were felled for ancient boats, the humps of dolphin backs as we near Piraeus. Left-hand lion of an Assyrian portal, extending the lines too far in the name of perspective, in the preservationist cool of the metropolitan. Migratory flash of an oriole, certainty that this time, yes, there would be a baby. Nubbed cotton hospital blankets, 3-foot drifts of record-breaking snow. The same oriole, lantern and rhododendron leaves. On Lake Manyara, density of feathered bodies, white, rose, vermilion, almost in tears as I learned to say, Nime furahi sana, I am very happy. The splay of newly liberated limbs, purple, greased with vernix, the cheep of a robin chick. Dawn, from my scapulae, invisible wings. What else to pack for the journey? All right. 2 little new ones. The first one opens with a English translation. The title is an English translation of one line of Pliny, and there's also a epigraph taken from Pliny the Elder. Please, I encourage, we're across the street from Harvard. I beg someone to correct my Latin pronunciation. A few things still remain to be said concerning the world. That's the title, and then the epigraph is Intervalla quoque siderum a terra multi indagere temptarunt. Many have attempted to measure the distance between the stars. Oh, sorry, from the stars and between the stars and the Earth. Even the comic books need poems. My copy of Flight 714, its cover devoured by rain when I left it one evening on the lawn, the summer we stayed all summer in a stone house up the hill from Le Couc's, stayed long enough to plant a crop of radishes. I was learning to read and learning that ink dissolves in water, that my mother smokes a single wobbly cigarette with her friend the painter. These things are connected. Here is Pliny the Elder, condensing into 10 volumes all he could responsibly learn, his compendium of the best guesses so far as he understands them, weighing Pindar with Nicias. Planets are raised by the sun, which heats the vapors on which they ride. The moon is halfway to the sun, or less, consensus eludes us. That thorough, conscientious man, so frequently wrong, who died of curiosity, his ship trapped by the wind at Stabiae. Not Tintin, he escapes the eruption. I knew the ending was nonsense. No one should be rescued from the fumes and flames, and if they are, it is not by flying saucer. It is a rickety wooden ship, commanded by a stout, bald man intent on gathering pumice. The survivors remember the sulfur on the wind, the hail of fire. We harvested the radishes. My father laid a blanket on the lawn and showed me satellites passing overhead. What keeps them up? I asked. And he said, skyhooks. There are so many things in the world that need poems. There is my mother, laughing. All right, last one. I said something about love poems being part of what keeps you going in all the other stuff. So I wanted to end on a love poem, not just to romantic love object or family, but to a whole crowd of truly awesome people, some of whom are here tonight, which has been keeping me going as I'm doing various things that don't feel like love poetry. And it's called Vermont, October. It's the best hour of the party. Everyone who's coming has come, and the bores who want to tell you how hard it was to get the town to haul away their neighbor's gray tartan sectional from the curb have gone home early. What's left is trees, just drunk enough on summer's sunlight, your wittiest friends. One in a dress Miss Sony might have made if they'd spent hours watching Virginia creeper turning bronze. Those two maples, their fire red, henna red heads almost touching as their eyes meet. The frogs, little children, are settling into the riverbank mud, leaving the adults unsupervised. Even the evergreens, who say they don't care for parties, are glorious, lit by the slanting sun, illuminated gold as that beach shakes laughter out of her hair, the browning oak leaves turn to castanets. Everyone knows, nobody cares that February will be hangover gray. Let's have another drink. Pour in the sun like scotch. Such wit, such glee can shed even its leaves, stand slender and muscular in the freezing air, can face even the world, even sober. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, let me make sure. Yes, okay, here we go. It's my pleasure now to get to introduce Heather Christle. Just to start off, I will say, Heather Christle is an associate, am I okay position-wise? Am I good? Okay. An associate professor in Emory's creative writing program and the author of Paper Crown, Wesleyan, 2025. In the Rhododendrons, a memoir with appearances by Virginia Woolf, Algonquin Books, 2025. The Crying Book, Catapult, 2019, which won the Georgia Book Award for Memoir. Heliopause, Wesleyan, 2015. What is Amazing, Wesleyan, 2012. The Difficult Farm, Octopus Books, 2009. And The Trees, Octopus Books 2011, which won the 2012 Believer Poetry Award and was adapted into a ballet. That's amazing.
So weird.
Her writing has also appeared in The Believer, Elle, The Guardian, The Nation, The New Yorker, and Poetry, among others. I had the pleasure of spending most of a day with Paper Crown recently. In approaching it as a collection, I want to talk a little about the cover art. So if you can, this is a very famous photograph. You may have seen it before. You may not have known that it is, in fact, a documentary photograph, but this is Tim Chapman's 1999 photo of flamingos taking shelter in a bathroom at the Miami Zoo during preparations for Hurricane Floyd. It has a lot to say about beauty and alarm, and the beautifully absurd. It also sets an image of whole lives being salvaged, however strangely, gloriously, awkwardly, whatever works, in the context of the extended work of art that follows the image. Paper Crown's poems ask questions that over time let these storm-displaced, weirded out flamingos and their temporary, beautiful, crown-like huddle sink into the reader's attention to be seen from different angles. Most of those angles, or poems, converge on overwhelmed laughter, embattled playfulness, loss and confusion, and love. It makes sense that this collection's cover would ask us to think hard about how we manage together and apart, and what managing looks like. Paper Crown is a very thinky book. It is not for those who don't like to consider the movement of the mind, but safe to say, I'm guessing this audience probably does. It is also a very feeling book with feelings attendant complications. My sense is that if you asked Paper Crown for a response to Rilke's famous line, "No feeling is final," Paper Crown might answer, "But some feelings are extremely fucking recurrent." Aren't they? It's a gorgeous, usefully complex collection. I could talk for a long time about how much I love some of these poems, including but not limited to Arc and Perfect Song and the title poem and Advent, but I'm not going to because I can't wait to hear what Heather reads.
Thank you very, very much. I really like the idea of replying to Rilke that way. I'll see if I can dream him tonight and see if he's up for a conversation. Hi, I've been sitting here, so I haven't seen the room. There's so many of you. It's so nice to see you. I'm really glad that you're here, and I'm glad to be here personally. So I'm gonna read a poem called The Ark. This place is an ark now. Behave as you would on an ark. I said these things to the man as soon as he got home. The man looked at me, and then he looked at our home. He said he did not know how he would behave on an ark. I asked him to please relax. And as an example, I relaxed by allowing my body to rock slightly with the waves. When I opened my eyes, I saw he had followed my lead, but then had surpassed me. He was more of a wave than a man now, which I found insulting. Stop it, I said. You are going to sink us. He kept sloshing. It was vulgar. He said, now you are my fish. Okay, so now we're in an arc. It's so weird to be here. I grew up in a small town in New Hampshire, and I ran away for a time when I was 16. I didn't like the small town. I was a punk. And the place that I ran away to was the Pit in Harvard Square. And so the first time I ever came in here, I had no money and all of my belongings in a backpack that I had to put over there. They wouldn't let me have, and I just looked around and was like, I would love this to be my life. Now it's my life. It's pretty cool. This poem's called Suggested Donation. And I made myself write it because I hate it when poets start poems with like morning and coffee. So like I had to do it because I hate it so much. In the morning, I drink coffee until I can see a way to love life again. It's okay. There's no difference between flying and thinking you're flying until you land. Somehow, I own like 6 nail clippers, and I honestly can't remember ever buying even one. My sister came to visit and saw them in a small wooden bowl. I heard her laughing in the bathroom. I hope she never dies. There's no harm in hoping until you land. The deer are awake. Is one pregnant? If they kept diaries, the first entry would read, was born, was licked, tried walking. Then they'd walk away and no second entry would ever exist. I run the deer's archive. It's very light work. Visitors must surrender their belongings. Surrender to me your beautiful shirt. Okay. You all good? Do you know what the mysterious, like Charlie Brown mother voice is? You're hearing that too, right? Okay, cool. Great. Glad to hear it. This poem mentions the Chalet School book series, which is a boarding school book series I was obsessed with as a child. My mom grew up in England, and so we'd go back and visit family, and it's from there. And I've never met anyone reading from this who's read it, but if you have, please, I love you so much. We should talk.
I read school stories.
Okay, this is great. So this is very exciting for me. This is called Far-Fetched versus Far-Flung. If a glowing door were to appear in the air, would you step through it and out of your life? I pretend to be stern with myself, like I once pretended my dark blue skirt was a uniform everyone wore at the Chalet School, where if we got lost in various Alps, we ate chocolate and tinned tongue until someone brought us home. In 1921, a Serbian poet imagined the invention of a plane as small as a butterfly and marveled. He had just come home from the war. I ordered potassium tablets from Amazon in case of nuclear war because I have a great imagination. If the glowing door were to appear, I'd tell you all about it. I would miss my life. Yeah, okay. So I'm really happy to be reading with my friend Rachel Trousdale, who I've known for a really long time now, but we only just recently became pressmates, and it's very exciting. I'm so happy about the book. You all should buy it before you leave this room if you haven't already. And yeah, there's some mention of friendship in this poem, so this poem's for you. It's called The Running of Several Simulations at Once May Lead to Murky Data. How do you say inopportune in a small forest of cell phone towers disguised as bizarrely regular trees? I am asking in case it happens, because anything can and even does. Sometimes I want to shrink and move into a miniature model village, mostly because the particular green of the imaginary grass corresponds with how my body believes joy would feel if joy were to happen here on Earth, where my eyes receive light in this certain way, limited, but not without pleasure. As a child, I visited one model village so extensively constructed I fell into a state of complete wonder. They thought of everything, even the person running late for the train and the window left slightly open to the storm. And I should like to request the arrival of this sensation in response to the world at its actual scale. Just imagine. Someone has even gone to the trouble of filling the egg cartons individually with smooth brown eggs, and one such detail has broken, but not enough to be noticed before the carton has been paid for and brought home. Sometimes artificially, I will induce this feeling in myself by going silent at a large restaurant gathering, pretending, until it is real, that each person is speaking from a highly naturalistic script, having carefully rehearsed each gesture, the mid-sentence reach for the salt. And I fall immediately in love with my companions, in awe of their remarkable talent for portraying with such detailed conviction the humans I know as my friends. Okay, so another thing that I'm, oh wait, no, that was something else. Okay, I know what I'm talking about. Is it true that a goat will eat a tin can, or is that just something I read in a book, and that now you are reading in a book? Pretend you're reading a book. And that your body will tuck away into a corner of some field of memory lying fallow, one you will someday decide to sow with an online lecture series about the animal in literature, but will not reap before you die. No, that is too unkind. You will reap a little. You will wander there in cocktail conversation with a very attractive person, the back of whose head you'd like to pull toward you in some dim, unoccupied room. Do people do this outside of movies? I have always wanted it to happen to me, which is why at the party I'm going to begin to tell you about the goats and the tin cans, and when you see that I am leading you into that long neglected meadow, you will know it is time. You must kiss me then. You must pull the back of my head toward you until our mouths meet and our ears fill with a sound we can hear, but from which we turn away. Someone has entered the field at the opposite corner, and my love, you handsome creature, I fear they have come here to thresh. Okay, so one of the things that I have learned in reading this book aloud to people in places is that something that I took for granted as part of my education, which is the name of this poem, was not at all something that other people necessarily experienced. So for those of you who took a foreign language class in like middle school or high school in this country, did you have a different name for that class? Okay, and did those of you who didn't, does that sound just bonkers to you? Okay, I thought everyone did it, and then I learned that's not true. My education. To sashay is to mispronounce a French word with your legs, or with less judgment, it is to alter the word and one's gait. The French word chasser I remember locking into my mind's closet with a tongue twister in 7th grade. Translation: a hunter who knows how to hunt must know how to hunt without his dog. When you sashay, it is less of a hunt and more of a stylish chase. The French teacher's name was Mr. Man. Later, a different Mr. Man, who'd lost the spare N, taught us history, and so did his wife, Mrs. Man, or possibly Ms. By then, my French class name had changed from Giselle to Lisette. I wanted the syllables to hang on my frame like clothes I could not afford and give me a balletic glow. Understanding very little, I told Ms. Man I was not a feminist, and Mr. Man told us about the defenestration of Prague. There is a word for everything, I thought, but I was wrong. Or else am wrong now. I cannot tell. I've thrown my mind through a tall bohemian window, and now it is time for a war. Okay. This poem is called Shelter in Place. And I wrote it after a night where I wanted to go to a poetry reading to see one of my really good friends read, but my kid was sick, and so I had to stay home, and then there was a tornado warning, so I had to stay home in a utility room with a 3-year-old. Anyway, I also, this poem starts with a very specific syntactic structure, which is one that kids use when they're defining something, like little kids. If you ask them what a knife is, for a time anyway, they tend to say something like, a knife is when you cut with it, which is so beautiful, and something that I wanted to do too. Okay, shelter in place. A tornado is when the wind opens the door to your house and closes it in the lake. A cyclone is some kind of milkshake, I think. I think with candy inside. I know someone who made a milkshake for her babies made of meat. When you write a book, you must not forget to build a door you can use to get out, or else you will die there. It is very exciting to make a new mistake. Every time I turn on the blender, I am afraid the blade will spin out through the glass and on through my stomach. But still, I keep using it, mostly for soups and sometimes for smoothies, a word I would rather not speak. I'm not brave, but I am hungry, and the wind has taken my teeth. So I'm really sad that Martha Ronk couldn't be here, but I'm really happy that it meant that there was time to hear some new poems from Rachel, and I'm going to read you some new poems. They're not that new, they're just not in this book. Anyway. Okay. This one is called Travel Plaza Brochure. Men as a subject. Oof. They are hard to believe in. They fax prose out of their mouths. When they are pleased with themselves, they go beep. You have to love them. They made a law. They call their enemy, well, he's a lucky guy. I have seen them at the post office, also the regular office. Commercial real estate troubles them. They carry the whole world on their eyelashes, according to thought leaders. Just think of the blinking. The thought leaders pause and the men go beep. Really wonderful. An anxious mother on stage waits for her child to eat the plate of fresh money. Will she like it? Will she eat it? Why is her face so drawn? The mother is an actor and the child is her real daughter. I am in the audience hoping the show will make me feel like I have a grubby diamond implanted in my head. In the skin part. I run like a program, and somebody once told me, don't get any ideas. They never removed the command. If the money is papered, the child should go ahead and eat it. I can't see anything from here, can you? I can tell someone in here is reminiscing about the hand job in the infirmary. I can tell by the special quality of our shared air. Oh no, here comes a giant emotion. It is flying over the audience like a big novelty check from a charitable foundation. I do not want it. I do not want it. I hope it is made out to you. Okay, this is the last poem. Thank you very much for being here today in this place. Thank you, James, for making this happen. Grateful for your work. This poem is called Obad. It used to have a very long title that was Obad, blah, 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 and now it's just Obad. You don't have to know how to live. It keeps happening either way. This morning on my walk, I bypassed the cemetery in favor of the banks. They are all over downtown and very beautiful. The sign with the lion whose mane falls like water. We bought a house and the lion owns our mortgage. When things get too beautiful, I need an emergency trepanation so my brain does not crush itself against my skull. The next bank was beautiful too. Their sign said, "Our hours have changed." Tell me about it. This was a rhetorical thought. The clouds were not rhetorical. They were actual and pink. At the last minute, I could not resist the cemetery. The sign said, "Enjoy your visit." And I did that a lot. When the dead come in, the sign tries to make them laugh. I thought the street lamps were the moon repeatedly. I walked on in light of my mistakes. Thank you.
I want to say thank you, Heather, and thank you, Rachel, for the beautiful reading tonight. Let's give you another round of applause for wonderful poems. Thank you so much. Let's say thank you, Catherine, for the wonderful introductions. Let's give Catherine a round of applause. That was excellent. And thanks to all of you for coming tonight. Thanks to everyone on Zoom. Hello. And we have some books for sale. Authors will be signing books. If you please put your chairs up against one of the walls, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Wow. Oh, wow.